Hello, folks.
Hello.
It is Jayberry and I for the first little bit until other people get done with their familial obligations and come and join us.
Yes.
So we're going to sit and relax and get started on the drinking.
Yes.
I see bourbon over there, so yes.
Yes. There's a little bit of bourbon over here. There's a lot of bourbon and vermouth over there.
And, hey, Ineth. Hopefully you're coming tomorrow for our gaming day.
Yes. Casual gaming day.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So we're trying to figure out what decks to play while we wait for everyone else to get here that are in theme. And Jayberry is going to play a food deck, so I'm going to play the rat deck that is going after the food.
Yes. Rats are always hungry. Ravenous rats. Am I right?
That is, that's what this deck does.
There we go.
Let's see. I haven't really looked at this. Oh, that's awesome. It's one of my favorite cards.
Uh-oh. I think I'm gonna die to rats.
Yes, there is an Ogre Slumlord in the deck.
That sounds bad. I don't remember what it does, but it's probably bad.
When creatures die, I get rats. It's an ogre who's the lord of the slums, and he just cultivates little rat minions. All right, cool.
All right.
So how was everybody? Well, Ineth, it's pretty much you for right now. So how was your Thanksgiving? What color
Are
you
you
want?
out of
I'm gonna take
town? Are
purple.
you here?
20.
Taking the screen ones.
Try to move the mouse off the screen. Nice and quiet, you and the cats at home. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, Socks is out of town.
Would you like to play or draw?
We already drew 7. I haven't looked at it yet.
Did you choose?
I guess I'll play.
Okay. You play. So while we wait for everyone else to play Commander, we are, all those folks who are still at home with their families, they'll be here soon. Jayberry and I are going to play thematic Thanksgiving decks.
We're gonna try.
Rats versus food. All right.
Yes. All right.
You're up. You go first.
All right. So play Forest. I will tap it for a Gilded Goose.
You have a
Make
Gilded
a
Goose.
food.
Make a foods. All right. I have a swamp, and can I do anything with that one swamp? I cannot. Pass turn.
Tap, draw,
I'm going to encroach on Val's space while she's not here.
swamp. Okay. 2 for a trail of crumbs. When it enters the battlefield, I create a food.
Of course you do. You know what? I can play everything over here now.
And whenever I sack a food, I may pay 1. If I do, look at the top 2 cards of my library and reveal a permanent from among them and put it into my hand. Put the rest on the bottom of my library in any order. And that's my turn.
All right. So you have 2 foods. Is there something on an adventure?
Nope.
Okay.
I just have it there.
Tap, upkeep, draw. I'll play a swamp. I will tap 2 swamps. And then we're just going to get started early.
Oh,
For a
great.
pack rat. Pack rat coming after the foods. Pass turn.
What does Pack Rat do? Does it eat enchantments
Let's
or
bring that
artifacts
up.
or something?
No, but it's still awful.
Yay.
So,
All rats are awful.
not all rats.
Rat decks
Just-
are pretty
just
awful.
Most.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep discarding cards to make... Then they'll both be 2/2, then they'll both be 3/3, then they'll both be 4/4, or I'll be 4/4.
That's the worst.
Alright, so right now it's a 1/1
I
rat.
need to make a rat pie.
You do need to bake that rat into
I
a
need
pie.
to bake that rat into a pie.
Alright.
Okay. Hey, look, it's my signed food from Donato.
Oh, that's pretty sexy.
Yeah. Alright. Tap. Draw.
There's a mark on the screen, and I keep trying to, like, brush off the piece of dust on my chest from the mark on the screen.
Oh, yeah. You need to clean this. You know, there's a way to clean that.
There is a way to clean that.
I'm just saying. Alright. A Savvy Hunter.
Alright, Savvy Hunter is in.
Yes, whenever it attacks or blocks, I make a food.
Imagine that.
Or I can sack 2 foods to draw a card. I think I might sack 2 foods.
To draw a
Sack my
card?
2 foods, draw a card.
You got it. May I go? I'm assuming you're not attacking me with your 0-2
Yes.
goose.
Go.
I did not true.
Sorry, I was just reading Trail of Comes again.
Let's see. How many cards you got in your graveyard? None?
0.
Damn it. I think I am gonna sit tight. Here we go.
Okay. Tap. Draw.
So in the background, we were trying to figure out. Apparently, Jay Brary's not too keen on holiday music.
I hate it.
So
it
I am
all.
playing the Metropolis Records dark Christmas carols, and it's just creepy as balls. Well, I don't know how creepy balls actually are, but I don't know. If you don't have them, they're kind of creepy. So much for the family-friendly thing tonight.
Why are you talking?
I don't know. I should just not talk, right?
No, kidding.
What is
Merrily
that?
Frighter. Again, sack of food, target creature blocks, Merrily Frighter, this turn if able.
Got it.
And you have a rat over there.
I have
It's
a 1/1 rat.
1/1 rat. Alright. I will attack my Savvy Hunter and make a food.
You make a food. I take 3 damage.
Yep.
Go to 17 because I do not block that.
Yep.
And
Go.
for my turn, I discard a Nezumi Bone Reader to make a rat.
Okay.
Rat! There are 2 2s now.
Okay.
You done?
Yep.
Alright, untap, upkeep, draw. You have, what? How big are your creatures over there?
Discard a card. Untapped creatures,
Yes.
3/1 and a 0/2.
Alright, I shall do nothing past turn. I could really use 1 more mana. Oh, that's hilarious.
Swamp.
10 minutes later, I got the notification that we're live on Twitch.
Yeah, that usually happens.
Christmas is by and large terrible, but there's some stuff that's decent.
Yep. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Plus, you know, and if I can kind of poke fun at people, I will. Like Jay Brary and the lovely Cave Girl who do not like Christmas music. Because I'm just that kind of asshole.
Bog Naughty.
The hell's a bog naughty? Oh, the 3/3 flyer thing?
Yeah, 3/3 flyer. I can pay 3, sack of food, target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn.
Gotcha, this thing.
Yep. He's naughty.
Is it a he, a she, or a they?
They?
I can't tell.
They, because we don't know.
There you go.
And they can't tell us right now. Okay. So, I will see. I'm gonna sack a food that creature.
Well, just
They're
for,
the same.
Yeah, so even if that dies, this can still...
Okay. Well, I'll target the first one.
The original.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Target creature blocks Merrily Frighter this turn if able.
Yep. And that's a 3/1?
then- Yep. And then my Savvy Hunter as well will come in for 3.
All right.
3/3.
I am going to discard a card, another Nezumi Bone Reader for a rat. And then this blocks that one for 3, this blocks the other one for 3, they both die.
Okay, make a food.
You make a food. Are you done?
Yep. Yep.
What do you have in your graveyard?
Merrily Frighter and a Savvy Hunter.
Good to know. Alright. That's turn.
Yep.
Okay. Could really use... Really use another mana. I have a 1/1 creature. Pass turn.
Okay. Tap.
Hey, Jordan!
Hey, what's up?
We will have folks, they're still fulfilling their familial obligations. So until they get here, we are playing food versus the rats that are coming after the food. So yes, I amuse myself sometimes.
So I have a fierce witch stalker.
Ooh, what does it do?
It's trample. Whenever it enters the battlefield, I make a food.
Not a Bognati, but a fierce witch stalker.
Yep. It's a 4/4 with trample.
That's not it. That's spell fierce.
F-I-E-R-C-E.
There we go. I must have been spelling fierce wrong. Oh, that's kind of sexy. Who did that? Nicholas Gregory?
Yep.
Cool. I like it.
I'll hit you for 3 in the air.
That thing flies, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Can't do anything about it.
Yep.
Actually, I can. Murder it.
Aw.
I took enough damage already this game.
Three damage.
I know.
3
Murder
damage.
the doggy. Murder the doggies.
Go.
Alright, untap, upkeep, draw. That's still not very helpful, but fuck it.
Not a land.
Not another land. I'm gonna play a Nezumi Grave Robber and a Typhoid Rat.
Okay.
Death Touch Rat and a... let me show you the Nezumi Grave Robber, because it's kind of neat.
I don't know what that does.
It's from Kamigawa.
Ah.
So it's a flip card from... Oh, did they actually redo it in Dominaria? Look at that. It's a Rat Rogue.
Okay.
And I can exile the card from an opponent's graveyard. If there's nothing in there, it flips and becomes a 4/2 Rat Wizard that reanimates things from graveyards.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So, yeah. Wait. Is there a thing? Can I just flip it? Hey, look. Whee! Look at that!
Whee! Nice.
Cool.
Cute.
Oh, Commander, not Dominaria. Thanks, Ynith.
Ah.
Really? I thought that symbol was Dominaria.
It's really close, but it's not exactly.
Oh, that's funny. Commander Anthology, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's really close to Dominaria symbol.
Cool.
My turn? Or are you attacking?
No, I'm not swinging into that.
You don't want to swing into my 4/4 Trampler?
Yeah, and or Goose. Right now I'm good.
Alright.
And I'm happy with your 4/4 Trampler because I have a Death Touch Rat.
I know.
You could bake it into a Death Touch Rat Pie.
Yes, I could. It requires a specific card to do that.
Yep.
Swamp.
Alrighty then.
Okay.
So yes. Rats. Rats versus food.
No, wait. Nope. Only do one.
Ooh, the shiny sleeves look pretty cool on the stream.
I will make.
Jordan, other folks are coming. Sorry if I didn't answer that.
I'll make a food. And then let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna attack you with the Witch Stalker.
I'm gonna try to block with the Death Toucher.
Okay.
All right, I take 3.
Yep, you take 3.
I'm at 14, and my Death Toucher dies.
Yep. And go.
How many cards you got in your hand?
1.
Okay. Could I please, for all that's fucking unholy?
No.
No, I cannot.
Yay!
1, 2, 3. All right, pass turn.
Okay. I was open, by the way.
I don't know what you're gonna.
Okay.
I don't know what you're gonna play. I don't know what kind of hastiness and ridiculousness is in there.
Okay.
Plus, I don't particularly want to lose either of those things to sack an attacking creature or something ridiculous.
Yep.
Because I don't know what's in there. Yada?
Yeah.
I don't know what yada means. Yada, yada, yada.
Okay. So 1. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna tap this to sack a food. Let's
Yep.
see. Actually, yeah, to add. Do I want to do that? Let's see. We'll do this. Okay. Tap this to sack it to gain 3 life.
Okay.
And then pay the extra 1 to look at the top 2 cards in my library.
Yep. Since it's the trail of breadcrumbs.
Yep. If you do, let's see. So you may reveal a permanent card from among them and put it into your hand.
Trail of breadcrumbs.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's the German one.
I don't know how that got there.
Yeah. It won't bring up the non-German one?
Trail?
Of breadcrumbs? Maybe spell out the whole thing.
Is it trail? T-R-A-I-L?
Oh, Trail of Crumbs. I'm sorry. My bad. There we go. There we go. That was weird, though, still. So I'm going to reveal a Fierce Witch Stalker.
Of course you are.
And put it into my hands. And then I put the rest in the bottom of my library in any order.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. So Jordan's asking you about Japan.
Oh, yeah.
And yada means, hooray, I did it.
Oh, okay. I didn't learn that much Japanese. Like, enough to get by. Also, pointing at things helps. Like, especially when ordering food. Like, I want that. Like, feed it to me, you know.
Feed that to me.
Yeah, like, put it in my face. Like, here's some yen.
Put it in my face, here's some yen.
I didn't actually say that to anyone.
That's a very different... that's a different kind of experience.
Yes, I guess it is. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
So I will 2 and 4 for a Fierce Witch Stalker.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. I make a food. And I will pass turn.
I'm gonna discard a. I'm gonna discard a Trader's Clutch for another rat token for my turn.
Oh yeah, I remember watching Heroes. I liked that show at this.
All right.
At the start, anyway.
Oh Jesus H Christ!
I got a cool shirt from an MTG store in Japan. Look, it's got a cool design on the back. Am I turning the right way?
Here, wait. Hold for it. There you go. That is pretty cool.
Yeah. Cool design. Also bought magic cards.
Imagine
like you
that.
do.
All right. No, nothing. Pass turn. I got a 2/2, a 2/2, and a 2/1.
All right.
Lord.
I would like you to continue to be mana hose, please.
Yeah, right?
No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry you're mana hose. All right. I will... Okay. We can do that.
How did you end with 3 cards in your hand?
I drew one, remember?
You had 1.
I didn't... I mean...
okay, yeah, and you skipped it. I gotcha.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. So... I will... play a Gingerbread Cabin. It comes in tapped because I don't have 3 forests. And I will... then... let's see. What do I need? 1, 2, and 3.
Thanksgiving was good. It was awesome. I slept until 11:30 this morning. It was ridiculous.
I'm gonna sack 2 foods.
To what?
To Giant Opportunity.
You're gonna get a big giant.
And then I get a 7/7 giant.
That's awesome.
There he is. My 7/7 giant.
Yep.
And then where's my hand? Okay. I'm gonna tap this to sack another food to make green mana.
Okay. To what? The goose.
Yeah, the goose. Sack a food, add 1 mana of any color.
Got it.
So I have 1 green for an adventure.
What
We
do you
have
go-
a
what adventure
curious
you
pair
going on?
going on an adventure.
You could go get a land.
I make a food,
Oh, I thought it was a land.
Nope.
Just you just make a food.
and then I'm gonna pay 2 to then cast it as a creature.
You got it.
So it comes back from its adventure, and now it is there. And then I am going to. Oh, I should have done that. Oh well. Fierce Witch Stalker attacking.
Gonna take the 4.
Okay, pass turn.
Before my turn, I'm gonna discard a Crypt Rat for
Yep.
another one. For another Pack Rat.
Yep.
All right, they are 3/3 Pack Rats now.
Yay!
Holy shit!
A land.
All right, I'm gonna discard this card for
Yep.
another Pack Rat, and I'm gonna play it for 1, which is a destroy target non-black creature. I'm gonna blow up the giant,
Okay.
and all of the Pack Rats are 4/4s now.
Okay.
And I think. You got 1 blocker?
I do.
I'm going to swing in with 2 4/4s.
I'll block. I'll block one of them, I guess.
Okay.
Fodder. And then I take 4.
Holy crap, I actually did something aggressive.
Yay!
And if this gets bounced, it doesn't come back, but I just want people to know that it's a Pack Rat.
Yeah, okay.
You are up, madame.
Alright.
Rat Tribal. Yes, well, we're trying to do something silly and thematic, so Jay Berry is playing food, and I'm playing the rats coming after the food.
Yep.
It is ridiculous and silly. Plus, I really like tribal decks. So I have a rat tribal deck, and if you name it, I probably have it. And damn it, I made an elk tribal deck before Oko was a thing. Because elks are basically the most useless cards in Magic.
I make a food with my.
I'll take that back.
Gilded
Before,
Goose.
go ahead.
I make a food with my Gilded Goose.
Ah,
Two. I'm gonna sack these 2, gain 6 life, and then do this twice.
you got it. I am a huge fan of the tribal decks.
So I look at the top 2, reveal, put them in the hand. Let's see. Permanent.
Just fixing the.
So a permanent can't be an instant, right?
That is correct. Instant and sorceries are not permanents.
Darn. Savvy Hunter.
Comes back to your hand.
Hand.
Okay.
And I do it again.
Why?
Top 2. I did because I sacked 2 foods.
Ah, gotcha.
And I paid 2
You got it.
to do it twice.
Absolutely.
And I guess I'll take that. Gingerbread Cabin.
You got it.
And pass the turn. I guess. Well, wait, how big are those pack rats?
There's 4 4/4s,
Alright,
and 2 of them are untapped.
yeah. Fierce Witch Stalker.
For 4,
Attacking.
a block with an Inazumi Grave Robber. Oh, it's trample, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's gonna be dangerous. I gotta block it with the rat pick each time.
Okay.
There are 3/3 rats again.
Yep. Pass.
Alright. Oh, lordy, lordy. What do you got floating around over there, blocker-wise?
Nothing. Got
Alright.
nothing.
Well, let's do it then. I will discard. I'm never going to be able to cast it, so let us discard. Wait for. Ooh, I could do it. No, I can't. I'm going to discard a second Nizumi Grave Robber for another rat. This one cannot attack, but I will swing for 3 4/4s.
So I take 12.
Yes.
Okay.
The rats are coming. They're coming to eat your foods.
Yeah. There's no foods for them to eat. They just start eating me instead.
That's pretty much what they're doing.
Yeah.
The rats are coming for your foods. Go ahead, you're up.
Okay. Tap.
The pack rats are coming for your foods.
Draw.
Happy Thanksgiving. Oh.
Oh, that'll do.
It's So does anybody have any fun Thanksgiving stories from this year's Thanksgiving extravaganzas?
I make food.
Mine was surprisingly stress-free. And let's see what you got.
3 for a savvy hunter.
Oh, that thing again. It's just gonna keep coming back, isn't it?
2. I am equipping my Gilded Goose.
Okay, it is equipped.
It is equipped with a giant skewer. So whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, I create a food.
Yep.
Not that it'll help, but hey, you know.
All right, time for some industrial dance music because the holiday music has put me to sleep.
Yes. All right.
All
So
right.
then I'm gonna.
Oh, that's awesome.
2 and 3.
White Green Cat Tribal. Cat Tribal was awesome. Almond Cat really ramped up Cat Tribal with all the Regal Caracal and
Yeah. I'm gonna gain 3 life, and then because I sacked the food and paid the extra 1, I'm gonna look at the top 2 again.
All right.
I'm going to reveal a giant. Oh wait, I can't. A gingerbread cabin then, because I can't do the giant opportunity.
Why?
It's a sorcery.
Oh, right. What does that thing do? The Trail of Bread? Because that thing's really done a great job for you this game.
Yeah. This is the first time I've really used it.
So when it enters the battlefield,
be
you
able to
trade
create a
food.
food.
When you sack a food, you pay 1. So every time you sack a food, it's basically a
yeah, I
crazy
just gotta
ass.
remember to pay the 1. I didn't do it for 1 turn, and I was like, damn, I should have done that. I really
Gotcha.
needed to. I had the mana to do it as
Well,
well.
you're working out the kinks of the deck. I mean, food is relatively
Okay,
new.
so I'm gonna move to combat.
Yep.
I'm gonna hit you for 2 in the air.
How's it flying?
Gilded Goose flies.
Oh, right, the Gilded Goose. What is it?
It's got a giant skewer. It's holding a giant skewer.
You got it. It's a flying
It's
goose.
a flying
with a
goose
skewer.
with a giant skewer.
Not on a skewer, but skewered.
Yeah, it's skewering you.
That's hilarious. All right, I'm at 8. And when it does damage, you create...
Well, no, actually, it has to do combat damage to a creature. You don't have any
all right.
blockers.
Yep.
So it goes. But that's fine.
All right.
I can pin you for 2.
All right.
Now with that flyer.
Goose with the shank.
Goose with a shiv. That's true.
That's Goose with a shiv.
A really big shiv.
Thank you for that. I'm picturing that in my mind's eye now.
Thank
you.
Your friend Darren should draw that for me as a token.
All right, there we go. Ogre Slumlord. I'm gonna bring that up.
Oh no.
It is my favorite rat tribal thing.
No.
It's not a rat, but here it is.
It's
Ready?
an ogre.
Cave Girl's awake.
Yes.
Are you actually gonna come down, or you?
Yeah.
So.
Alright.
It's just the 2 of
All right.
Yeah.
Other folks are showing up. They're just hung up with family.
Gotcha.
Rats have Death Touch that I control, and whenever any non-token creature dies, I get a 1/1 black rat. So, on that note, I shall be swinging at you for 4/4/4 Death Touch rats.
Well, I'll block one of them. And when it blocks, I get a food.
You get a food. You should eat some foods.
I only have one
So
food
we were
to
trying
eat right
to
now.
figure out what's thematic. So she's playing a food deck, and I'm playing a rat deck coming after the food.
So there are 4.
They're 4/4s, so 4, 8, 12 you took if you'd only blocked one of them.
Okay, so I take 12.
Yep.
I'm at 4.
And one creature over there died, so that would be a 1/1 Death Touch rat. Death Touch rat.
I think I'm dead now. I did not draw any pie making cards.
No pie making
Well, I
cards.
did draw one, but I couldn't keep it.
Go ahead, you're up. I'm trying to think what we could do next while we still wait for people to be done with their... You got the Regal and
Brawl?
Almond Cat booster pack. Yeah, Cat Tribal's awesome.
I want to play the Dragon Lord deck from Brawl.
Yeah, we can play a Brawl. Yeah, let's do a Brawl next while we wait. You play the Dragon Lord. That one has food in it.
I
There you go.
know. And I want to make it into a commander deck, but I kind of want to play it as the Brawl deck, just to get a feel for it.
Yeah, no,
And
it's
then
up
I
to
already
you
looked
there.
up some lists online of things to add to it.
Alright, so stream, if Jayberry plays the Dragon Lord Brawl deck, which one should I play against it? I've got all 4 of the ones that came out.
Tempting Witch. When it comes in, I get a food.
Goose with a shank. That is the literal quote of the night. It's a goose with a shank.
Yep. Oh yeah, and I played a gingerbread cabin, so I get another food.
More food.
More
Hey,
food.
that's 9 life. You're not dead completely next
not
turn.
completely.
And you'll get a food when that thing blocks, when the goose blocks.
No, it can make food on its own.
Oh.
It doesn't.
Well, I thought
You
the
You
giant
have
skewer.
to block with a creature.
Oh,
You
I have
can't-
to block.
You have to block.
So it's just not combat damage.
yeah,
Got
it's
it.
not combat. So that's the downside.
Vampire and Draco Lich.
What was that?
I was talking to Jordan on the stream.
So the crappy thing is look up Tempting Witch. I could
Oh.
have you.
Yeah, if
I
you had 2 more turns.
Yeah,
I love the art on that card too.
yeah. But I have to eat my food for life, and I can't.
I have to eat my food for life.
I have to eat my food for life, but I can't like do this enough times.
That's gorgeous art. I
Yeah.
love that. It's all muted, and the creepy little children reaching out from under her cloak. Wow.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
just more than a little
So-
creepy.
So I get, I have to pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have to pay 6 to eat all of those foods.
And you get 3,
And
6, 9 life.
But I can do. I'm gonna do this twice.
Well, why don't you do one at a time
All right.
and see if there's
yeah.
anything you want to cast?
That makes sense. All right. So 1, 2.
Trigger the first food.
Trigger the first. Oh, and I have to pay an extra third. So
There you go.
I gain 3 life. So I'm up to 7.
And then how many do you look at?
2.
2.
Ooh. Ooh.
Uh-oh. I don't like that. I'll bet you got to bake into a pie. Oh, but you can't cast it.
No, but I have something worse.
That's not
All right.
good.
So here's my dilemma.
All right,
I
stream.
have 2 options.
Do I want to know?
A Tempting Witch or a Feasting Troll King. They're both bad.
Well, I mean, the feasting. Don't you have
Yeah.
to tap the witch?
Yeah, so I have to pay to
So you're not going to make it
tap
to
the
the
witch.
next turn
Right.
with that.
So I'm probably going to have to take the
Yeah.
Feasting Troll
And
King.
it says troll time with exclamation points.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to do the troll.
Troll time
So
it is.
I'm going to keep the troll. This goes into my hand. This goes on the bottom.
But you can't cast it this turn.
I can't.
Could you have cast the witch?
Yeah, no.
Maybe you needed to keep the blocker then.
Well, how much do...
4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
But how many creatures do you have? 2?
I would have 3 creatures.
So 4, 8, 12, and you would take 4, 5, 6, 7.
Maybe I'll have to take the witch.
Well, if you can sack one more food...
Well, I'm gonna sack the rest of the food to gain more life.
Right.
So I'm gonna be up to. So here's where we're talking strategy.
Yeah,
for
no,
me.
let's hear.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So after I eat these 2 foods, I
Right.
would be up to 13 life.
Okay.
So I won't be able to cast the Feasting Troll King.
Right.
And well, I probably wouldn't be able to eat these 2 foods and cast the Tempting Witch as well. That's the only downside.
Right.
So yeah, I won't be able to cast the Tempting Witch and eat the food.
So maybe
So
maybe eat 1 food, go to 2, and try to get the... Well, the Troll King's not going to save you from a horde of rats.
yeah, Vigilance and Trample. So.
Yeah. So I think that's
But whenever
probably...
it enters the battlefield, if I cast it from my hand, I create 3 food tokens.
Oh, wow.
That's the upside of it, is if I can cast
If you can
it.
figure out a way to stay alive, to go to 1,
Right.
because then it comes in...
So you're going to hit me with 19. You have 19 down from the
Yeah,
board
if you
right
can,
now.
if you can stop 3 of the rats and only take 4, 5, 6, 7.
3 of the rats.
Yeah. But you're at 7.
Yeah, but I could go up to 13.
And still get that in your hand.
Yeah.
Create 3 food. But then you're dead the next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's game.
I mean, well, let me continue the
Go ahead.
process.
Continue it and play it out, just
so
so
I can
folks
see
see
what
how
else
it
I
works.
draw.
Yep.
So, alright, so I'm going to pay another 2.
Yeah, because
And
when
a
those 2 creatures
third.
over there die,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get 2 more Death Touch rats to attack you with the next turn.
So I gain another 3, so I'm back up to 10. And then I'm gonna scry 2, and take 1 into my hand.
I've been holding this stupid thing in my hand all game, the Patron of the Nezumi, and I just haven't had the mana, or it's all been tokens, so I couldn't cast
Alright,
it.
so I'll take a Trail of Crumbs, because that's the only thing I can take. that on the bottom. So I could have taken the swamp, I guess.
Have you played a land this turn?
No. So I think I'll take the swamp then.
Well, when you cast the trail, doesn't it give you food?
Yeah, but then what can I do with it?
I gotcha, yeah.
So now I have 3 more to work with. So I'll go ahead and pay the last 3 to do the scry again. And gain 3 more life.
I think that's
It's still probably game.
7, 8, 9. No, it's not. You'd be taking 11 damage if you block 2 rats.
Okay.
You might pull it out of your butt. Who knows?
Alright, I will take... let's see.
Alright, I have to clean that
8.
thing off the screen.
Yeah, it's driving you nuts.
It's driving me nutty.
Alright, I can't take that, so... I drew another bake into a pie that I can't take.
Ah,
But
so
I'll take the giant skewer.
You got a skewer.
So, and I pass the turn.
Alright. Actually, watch this.
Am I dead?
Well, hold on. You have 2 blockers, right?
Yes.
This one is a 1/1. I can't do anything about. So, if I do this, discard the patron of the Zumi and make all the rats 5/5s.
Yeah, now I'm dead.
Right? So that one can't attack, but that's 5, 10, 15, 20.
Yeah.
3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's gotta
There
be
you
it. I don't think the math works out any different.
No, because you're going to take 5, 10, 15
Yeah.
and block 3 of them.
Yep.
Well, that was
2
good.
of them.
That was actually much, much closer than I
Yeah.
expected it to be. I really expected you to murder my pack rat as soon as it came out. I expected you to
Well,
bake it
I
into a pie
tried. I
immediately.
mean, I wanted to, but
I expected
cards.
you to bake it into a pie.
I really wanted
immediately.
to.
Oh, all right.
I
I
wanted
know what
to
we're
eat
gonna do
my
now.
rat pie.
Play that one more time.
Okay.
I have a night deck. I completely forgot a
Okay.
new Eldraine night deck.
All right.
So there we go. Eldraine Knights versus
Foods.
foods versus witches and foods and geese. There we go. Cool. This is more of a multiplayer, but I'm gonna try it just cause. Troll time.
I wish it were troll time.
Einith, honest to God, in my brain, as you said that, is, MC Hammer basically doing it's troll time. It's troll time!
It's hammer time. Dun, 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 dun.
But it's troll time.
It's stroking time. Dun, 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 dun.
Somebody clip that and use it to mock her mercilessly forever.
Oh, shut up. Someone already clipped like a picture of me bumping my head into that lampshade. I think
that's funny.
That's a clip that
was not
from the
me.
early days. That was someone else.
That's hilarious. Let me turn that down a little bit. So Cave Girl, Einith, this person lives with Goth Socks.
Yeah.
Spent the quiet Thanksgiving at home with the cats.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, I have a gift for you from
A what?
Japan.
A what?
A gift from
Oh,
Japan.
lovely.
It's over here.
You should come up and join us when you're done eating.
Yes.
Because you still have your makeup on. Even though you have sleepy eyes. You're like, huh?
I'm still caught halfway between Japan time and here time.
When did you get
When
back?
did you get back? Yeah.
Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I mean, you lose a day and a half traveling, and
Yeah.
when you get here, you have no idea what day of the week it is, what time of day it is.
Well, I knew what day it was when I got back into the U.S. because I had a second connecting flight, so I needed to know what day it was and what time that connecting flight was. But
How was it?
it was awesome.
Yeah, the pictures. I mean, you saw the pictures.
Yeah, I haven't posted them all yet. I just I was like, all right, I'll do a food post and then I'll do an everything else post because I definitely tried to eat my way through Japan. By the way, everything there looks freaking delicious everywhere you go. It doesn't matter what it is.
I'm gonna try to play this.
It was, yeah, I tried to eat my way across the area where I was.
Alrighty then.
So,
There are worse things to do than eat your way across a foreign country.
yeah. Especially one with such good food everywhere. Sushi was amazing.
I can imagine.
Cannot compare to anywhere
I'm
here.
sure it's the best in the world.
Yeah. We were near the fish market too, so we had like the freshest.
Wait, you ready? You literally just made my fresh. You made my mouth water with fresh
I
sushi.
had the fatty tuna, and it was like melt in your mouth like butter.
Screw you! Screw you!
You know, I want to go back, but it would be way more fun to eat food there if I were with other people, so they could order food, and then we could all share food. So, hey, who wants to do a group trip to Japan? Because that would be fun. All right.
You may go first.
I may go first.
Since you lost.
All right.
So what is my present?
Oh, you gonna sit and join us?
Wait for a minute.
I got you a chopsticks. that
Oh my
has
God.
Cats on it.
Ah!
And
I got you a signed print from Tokyo Comic Con with cats on it.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
aw.
Show the stream.
Wait. Wrong one.
Yeah.
Wrong
Wrong
one.
one.
Wrong one. I'm trying.
What are
I'm
you
trying.
doing?
I'm
what
trying.
are you doing with your life, Furia?
I'm really trying. I
Oh
swear.
my god. What are you, Jesus? Kitties.
Aw, it's super
You
cute.
can't see the kitty toothpicks. Kitty chopsticks.
Yeah. Here you go.
Now you can.
Kitty chopsticks.
Kitty
chopsticks.
chopsticks. And a kitty print
Kitty
from an
print.
artist at Tokyo Comic Con.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Who we actually saw at Dragon Con too. So I walked up and be like, hey, you were at
Very
Dragon
cool.
Con. You're welcome. And I was like, I was at Dragon Con. They're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, I just
I came to visit
Happened to
friends.
be-
Qualifies
visiting
for
friends.
weird cat art, so.
Yeah.
It does qualify because we don't have enough weird cat art.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll put that.
All right.
You're
my
actually
turn.
still on the stream.
Yeah, people can see you sitting on the couch behind my face.
I'm just eating.
2, 3, 4.
Stuff in your faces.
7. Okay. I am going to play
All right.
something. I'm gonna play. I'll play Gingerbread Cabin. Comes in tapped. Go.
I will play Windscarred Crag and gain a life, and well, I should probably pick my
I should probably
pass turn.
just reset my life.
I should probably look at what I drew. Imeth says, "There's an enough for weird cat art." Yes, there is.
My turn.
Ask tomorrow. Ask Cave Girl to show you her shrine picture of weird cat art.
Yes.
Well, you've seen it before, but not with the lit candles and it's creepy.
Oh
looking.
yeah, I haven't seen the lit candles one. All right. I will pay 1 for a adventure. My curious pair is going on an adventure. I make
Curious
my
Pair
food.
goes on an adventure and makes foods.
Yes.
All
And
right.
I pass the turn.
Untap, upkeep, draw. I will play a mountain and pass turn.
Alright, untap, draw, play a forest, I'll play 1 and 2 for my curious pair to come in from their
Yep.
adventure, and then I'll pay another 1 for my second curious pair to go on an adventure, so I make another food.
There, you've got a lot of Goldilockses walking around your forest.
Not
That sounds like it should be a
Goldilockses.
euphemism.
No, it's not Goldilocks.
Oh, who is it?
It's Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, because they make food. But I
Yeah.
thought it was Goldilocks leaving breadcrumbs where she was...
No, Goldilocks is the one with the axe and the
Oh, what is...
Goldilocks and
Yeah.
the 3 bears in the bear cabin.
Got it.
With blood on their murderous axe.
All right. Done?
I actually have 2 different curious pairs.
Oh.
I have the alt.
Oh, you have the alt art, the story card.
Yeah.
What is it? The storybook card?
Yeah, the storybook card.
All right, you done?
Yep.
Untap, upkeep, draw. I will tap 3 for a Brimstone Trebuchet.
Nice.
Let me, you know what it
Yeah,
does? Let me bring that
I
up.
think I hated that thing. It kept pinging me for 1, right?
Yep. This is not, what is a night deck, but it is a night deck that hides behind the trebuchets.
Yeah. I remember that.
It's a silly little, and
I
I made
remember
it,
that from the draft at the LGS.
I made it to be a multiplayer deck, so I could just sit back behind the trebuchets and
Yeah.
play knights and let people die to the trebuchets.
Yeah. All right, I go.
Yes. It is also a 1/3 defender with reach.
Yes.
So don't think about hitting me with your Gilded Goose.
Yeah. I don't have one out yet.
Ah.
Okay. What do I want to play? I'll wait on that one. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Tempting Witch.
Tempting Witch. You got it.
Yep. And that's a 1/3 defender.
It is a 1/3 defender.
Pass turn.
Alright, untap, upkeep, draw. I'm going to play a plane. I'm going to launch the trebuchet at your face for 1.
Okay. You can do that on your turn, right?
I can do it anytime I want.
Yep.
And then I'm going to play a Fireborn Knight. It is a 2/3 with double strike and untap the trebuchet.
Ah. So whenever Knight gets played, you untap the trebuchet?
Every time I play a Knight, I untap the trebuchet.
Got it.
Basically, I'm just going to sit here behind a bunch of catapults throwing things at you.
Creature wall.
It is a, yeah.
Alright. Okay, untap. Trebuchet pie?
This
Who
is
knows?
maybe standard? I don't know. Is Windscarred Crag standard? I think it's M20. No, Windscarred Crag is. Look, it's the Eldraine version of Windscarred Crag. So yeah, I guess it is standard. Holy crap. Holy crap, we're playing standard.
That's weird.
Not good standard, but standard.
Yeah, I mean, all this whole deck is all Eldraine. Like, I didn't put anything from another set in it. It's just
Nope.
Eldraine.
And I did that with this to give people a taste of what Knights was like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's fun. Alright, I will...
And we'll be playing Commander a little later. People are hung up with familial events, so when they get here later, we'll get into the Commander.
I'll pay 2 to bring in my Curious Pair. My other...
So how many Curious Pairs do you have? You have
On the board, just 2.
They're a Curious Quintuple?
Yes. That sounds weird to me. And then I will pay 2, sack a food, and you lose 3 life.
Alright, but you don't get to get life for that,
No,
right? I use
no.
3 life?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, I don't get both effects.
Alright, let me know when you're done. 1/3 and a 2/3 double striker.
Done.
For my turn, I will launch the trebuchet.
Yep.
Untap, upkeep, draw. I will play a Windscarred Crag and gain a life. Go to 19. And then... Cage Tiki. Are you local? Are you DC Metropolitan local? Should I attack? No, you know what's going to happen? Here's what's going to happen. The Fireborn Knight is going to joust with your Witch.
What does that mean?
Choose target creature you control and target creature you do not control.
Okay.
The creature you control gets +2/+1 until the end of turn if it's a Knight, and then those creatures fight. So I'm doing 4 double strike to your Witch.
Okay.
Yay! If you can get to Washington, D.C. in the next 4 hours, yes.
What day are y'all going to Command Fest?
Saturday.
Okay, I still need
We're
to
gonna
buy
go
a
Saturday,
ticket.
yeah. And we actually might be shooting there
Oh, okay.
for the documentary, so
Oh, nice.
I will pass turn.
You're not
Oh,
gonna-
you know what?
you're not
Hold
gonna
on for a
attack?
second. Hold on for a second. Since this thing has 4 doubles, it's a 4 double striker. I might as well attack with it.
So it's 8? Or is it 4?
It is a 4/4 double striker till end of turn.
So does it do 8 to me or 4 to me?
If 8 if you don't block it, nothing if you block it, but it will kill one of your creatures.
Yeah, I'll throw a pair under the bus.
Alright, the pair dies horribly to a double striking knight. I feel bad. My knight killed like Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
That's
You should
awful.
feel bad.
I should feel bad.
You're a monster.
I know. Go ahead, you're up. I am a monster. Are you... so, who's coming? Who's it? Pyrovac. I love that. Am I pronouncing that right? But yes, we're planning on doing Commander Fest DC on Saturday, the day of Saturday. And we will be actually, hopefully, shooting some footage for the new Magic the Gathering documentary that day as well, which would be a lot of fun.
So, Jeremy the Miner asked me a question while I was visiting. I make a food with foreboding fruit. And I draw
lose
2 cards and lose 2 life.
Got it. Actually, I like the art on that. Let me bring that up.
Yeah. We saw the original art, remember?
Yeah.
It looks fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hold a candle to the original art. The original art is that light on the pear is really creepy looking and awesome.
Alright, next I will play...
You should definitely get a ticket for the Saturday, because the Saturday's going to be the big day, because a lot of people who don't have to work on Friday will be there. But it might be a lot more crowded, too, so who knows.
For a... I guess I'll play a Trail of Crumbs.
Alright, you played a Trail of Crumbs.
I did. And I passed the turn.
Before the turn, I launched the Trebuchet.
Yep, I know.
Catapults away!
I know.
Untap, upkeep, draw.
The worst.
Alright. Launch the Trebuchet again. Point of damage.
I'm not gonna attack.
And then I play a Burning Yard Trainer and untap the Trebuchet. Let me bring that up, because that's a thing you might want to think about.
Okay.
You don't have any monolith, though, right?
Not right now, no.
So it is a 3/3 knight with haste, and when it enters the battlefield, target knight gets +2/+2, and trample and haste. So
Thanks.
I'm going to swing at you with a 4/5 double striker trampler.
Block it.
And 3/3.
Block the big one, I guess.
So it tramples. Oh, right, and the second hit won't hit you.
Yep.
So there you go. It dies, and you take 3 from this guy.
Okay.
And I will pass turn. I'm all tapped out.
Okay.
This deck is silly.
Yeah. Brutal.
It's slow. I expected you to get way up ahead of me. I didn't cast anything until third turn. And then third turn it was a defender. But the Trebuchet is going to be the thing that kills you.
Yeah. Well.
You don't have a bacon to pie?
I have another thing.
You should kill the Fireborn Knight, because that thing's going to just get crazy if I pump it. The double striker?
I can't. I don't
2/3.
have... Well, I can't do it right now.
Gotcha.
Let me just put it that way. I'm revealing my
It's okay.
stuff, but I
These
can't
are friendly games.
do it right now.
And if you want strategy and help, that's perfectly fine.
I'm gonna...
Did you just take the whole can of gelato out of the fridge?
It's just a little.
I have pumpkin pie.
I'm not a big pumpkin pie fan.
Alright, I'm going to come over and get a spoonful of gelato in a minute, though. Because
Okay.
that chocolate gelato is astoundingly good.
I play a Wicked Wolf. When
I
it's battlefield,
hate that card.
it fights up to one target creature I don't control. So I'm gonna have it fight the Trebuchet.
Well, or you could kill this thing. They'll kill each other, but you kill this.
I don't wanna...
No, you don't?
I don't know. I guess. But
It's up to
this is
you.
only a 3/3.
Right, but this is 2
That's
double
a-
strike.
Alright.
So the 2 first strike
Alright,
won't kill
so
it.
yeah, then I'll
Yeah.
kill
They
it.
kill each other.
How do they kill each other, though?
So this does 2,
Right.
and the second strike hits, so it does 4,
Okay.
and you're going to kill me because you're 3.
So it's...
It does 2 before combat.
Right.
First strike.
So, but if I kill yours first, because this is 3...
But that's not first strike.
Okay.
So it does the 2 first
Okay.
strike, and then the other 2 during normal combat.
Okay.
You can eat a food and gain it. Yeah, can't you just eat a food and gain indestructible?
Yeah. I can sack a food, it's indestructible. Yeah.
There you go.
I forgot to read that.
RTFC.
Read
Thank
the
you,
fucking
stream.
card.
Exactly.
Alright, and then it gets...
All right, and so
one.
my guy dies.
Yep.
Poof.
Forgot I had food.
There you go.
Alright. Okay. Oh, and because I sacked a food,
have
I'll
one to
pay
pay?
the extra one
Yeah.
to look at the top 2.
She's on top of the counters.
Yeah. Alright, I will... What do I want to take?
What's tapped? I don't know. They're saying something's tapped.
Land? Land's tapped?
We'll figure it
I
out.
don't know what's tapped. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's
No,
tapped.
it didn't fight. It just fought.
It just
didn't
fought.
attack.
Yeah.
It didn't...
And
No, it didn't...
the wolf?
So, yeah, it just... Oh, and I have to tap it.
Oh, you have
Yeah.
to tap. So you can't tap that
Read
turn.
the card again. Well,
There
it
you go.
just came in, so... Yep. So...
That means I'm going to get, hopefully, one more hit on you with the Burning Yard.
Yeah. Alright. What do I want to play?
That wolf,
do I wanna
that
keep?
wolf in conjunction with food is awful. And I've been dealing with that wolf in conjunction with food on MTG Arena for the last week.
Alright, I'm gonna reveal a Fierce Witch Stalker.
Okay.
Put it in my hands. And then I have one more mana left.
That's probably it.
Yeah, battle. probably be it.
Launch the catapult before my turn.
Yeah. Down to 10.
All right. Untap, upkeep, draw. You have food?
I do have 1 food.
Damn it. Alright, so let's do this. 1, 2, 3. For an icon of ancestry, I choose knights. Let me pull that up. No, not a Burning Yard Trader. That thing.
Yep.
Creatures I control the chosen type get +1/+1,
Yep.
and for 3 I can look at the top card and reveal.
Yep. Put it in hand. Okay.
And then I will launch the Trebuchet for 1.
Yep. On the 9.
I'm gonna destroy that food with an Embereth Shield Breaker. It's an artifact. Food is artifacts, right?
Yeah.
It's the only food you have right now?
Yep. Okay.
Oop, how do I spell it? E-M-B...
Embereth.
E-M-B-E-R-E-T-H.
Embereth.
So I can't believe I'm wasting this on a food. However, so I kill the food, which means that thing can't be indestructible for the turn.
I cannot eat it in response because...
Can the wolf eat it right now in response?
Yeah, I guess I could.
Yeah, so you might as well have the wolf eat it.
Yeah.
So there you
I'll
go.
have the
That
wolf
fizzles.
eat it. I'll pay 1 because I sacked it.
Yep.
And look at the top 2.
Alright, and then I will tap 2 mana to play it from its
I
adventure.
reveal a swamp.
You got it. I will tap 2 to play it from its adventure and untap the Brimstone Trebuchet.
Okay.
And then I will swing for 4 with my Burning Yard Trainer.
Okay.
And then I will pass my turn.
Down to 5.
Alright.
Alright. Tap.
That was wasted. I shouldn't have done that, because you could have just sacked in response. I wasted a mana. Dang it.
That's not your fault. Let's see.
So I'm gonna. What is it? What is the wolf called?
Wicked Wolf? Wicked Wolf.
Wicked Wolf.
Yep. Swamp. Okay. So what are my options here?
That thing.
So that's a 4/4 or 3/3, or because the icon. It's
because
a
the
4/4.
icon, this is a 4/4 and this is a 3/4.
Okay.
It is pretty good. It's a pretty good fucking card.
I don't think I'm gonna live very long. Alright, I'll have to do that. 2, 3, 4.
And it's funny for all of you folks that are Monty
Or
Python fans.
Fierce Witch Stalker.
Did you play second one?
Yeah. Well, I haven't played one earlier. Not a Wicked Wolf, a Fierce Witch Stalker, a different wolf. 4/4
Right.
wolf.
It's
Trampling
still a 4/4 trample wolf.
Okay, and then.
So for anyone who watches Monty Python, as soon as I thought about putting together this stupid Brimstone Trebuchet, there's 4 of them in the deck. Fechez la vache! And all I can think of it is like launching cows at people.
Yeah.
So I need to find a way to make a deck that launches cows at my enemies. Or oxes or something. Because you can make goats and oxen with tokens, and I'm trying to figure out some other way.
A 5/5 Wicked Wolf.
The Ovinomancer, but the Ovinomancer makes, what is it? Yeah, the Ovinomancer makes cows, right?
5/5 Wicked Wolf.
Why is it 5/5?
Because it gets 2
right.
counters.
Yup.
What are you gonna do?
No,
Attacking.
tell me it's my turn.
I'm attacking you with a 5/5 wolf.
You're attacking with a 5/5 wolf?
Yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
I'm going to take 5.
Okay. Then
Go to
take
14.
5. And then I am going to.
Did you see if another food? Damn it.
I have 1 more food.
The food is, like that food deck, the food is going to be the thing that keeps you alive.
Mm-hmm. I paid 2 for Merrileaf Rider. 3/1.
And you're at 5, right?
I am at 5. Yep.
Alright. For my turn, I'm going to launch the Trebuchet at you. I'm going to untap, upkeep, draw. Alright, there's land. Let's do this. Whee. All right, so let's see. Let's take a look at your board state. I'm not really sure what's going on over there.
So 2 untapped creatures.
Yep. How big is the? You've got a 4/4.
Yep, a 4/4 and a 3/1.
So let's see. The 4/4 you cannot make indestructible, correct?
No.
All right. So here's what's gonna happen. All right. 1, 2, 2 red. Mm-hmm. Actually, a red and a white. Let's do it that way. I don't know what I'm gonna draw. For Joust. All right. The Burning Yard trainer is now a 6/5. It's gonna fight your 4/4.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But that would that still live? Because it's a 6/5?
6/5.
This is a 4/4.
Right, so my 6/5.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Then I'm going to tap 1, 2, 3 to reveal the top 3 cards of my deck. Mm-hmm. Trebuchet, Bond of Discipline, none of them are knights. Mm. And then what do? They go where? Put them on the bottom of the library in any order.
Okay.
All right. And then you've got a how big?
3/1. I'm probably dead, right?
I'm going to attack with both.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, if you eat the food.
I can't. I can't eat the food.
Oh, you don't have enough?
Mm-mm.
So I'm going to attack you with a 3/2 and a 6 whatever.
All right, block the 6.
And it dies and you take the 3.
Okay.
And then I kill you with the trebuchet!
Kill you with the trebuchet. See, that's why I wanted to kill the trebuchet with the Wicked Wolf.
But actually, had I not done that, I would have drawn the trebuchet next turn. A second trebuchet.
Oh, well.
So how many times have we said the word trebuchet on the stream so far?
You've said it a bunch because you're really excited about it.
I am really excited. Come on. How often do you get to make a catapult deck?
What's the question? You can't cast the adventure creature? When was I trying to cast an adventure creature?
Was it me?
I don't know. I didn't cast an adventure creature the last few turns.
Was it me? The one that fizzled? So if I do an Embereth Shieldbreaker...
Yeah.
Oh, so this should have fizzled. Because you sacked the food in response. It should have gone to the graveyard instead of command zone.
Do you want to do this?
Oh.
So we screwed that up, and what we also screwed up was I shouldn't have done it because you could have just sacked it immediately.
Yeah.
So, yes, 1 spoonful of the gelato because it's ridiculously good. And that's a huge half of that.
Just eat it all. Just take it.
Thank you, Mick.
You can
Take the
finish
chocolate
it,
in your
I
mouth.
just ate most of it.
Yeah, it should have fizzled. It should have gone to the
So
graveyard, not
you-
on an adventure.
Well, it's still on the adventure, right?
No, because it didn't have a target. The spell fizzles.
Oh, right.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So
It's Thanksgiving, just eat it. Thanks, Ida.
okay, because it fizzled.
Yep.
Because
It's
you
just like
didn't
any
have
other
a
spell.
target,
Even though it
yeah.
goes on an adventure, if it doesn't have a target, it goes to the graveyard.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. We usually play Commander, so these decks are just kind of fun while we wait for everybody else to show up after their Thanksgiving extravaganzas.
Brawl?
Sure, what do you want to play?
I'm gonna play the Corvold one.
You play Corvold, and I will play, somebody said they wanted to see me play the Vampire one. Is there a Vampire one?
I don't think so. There was a fairy one.
The Fairy one, the Queen,
Corvold.
and the... I'm going to play the Fairy one.
I can't. Was there a vampire one in Brawl?
No, it was Knights, I think.
Yeah, there's
It
knights.
was like Mardu colors.
Yeah. Dragon.
Here. The guy who got turned into a dragon at his wedding.
Is that what happened to him?
That's the theory
Is that
behind
the
it.
lore?
At his wedding, he got turned into a dragon.
So I had a question about the magic documentary from Jeremy because I was
Sure.
like, so is it? It's not like your previous documentary where you're doing the history of the art and like the game. Are you doing the history of how the game was made, or are you doing the history of like the lore of the world?
Cave Girl?
What is it?
I think we're actually trying to do the history of the game. And it would
Okay.
be... So, Igniting the Spark, the story of Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
We've actually got a title already.
So the history of the game. Okay.
So how it started, why it started, what
Okay.
what it did to the industry. There was no CCG industry before this.
CCG stands
Collectible
for
card game.
collectible card game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just shuffled Commander in. Thanksgiving brain. Thanksgiving brain.
Did you eat too much food? You're in a food coma?
I have not had stuffing in a year, and I ate way too many carbs.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Where the heck is the Commander? Oh my god, really? Come on. I must have gone past it.
So you want to bring up our commanders?
I will,
You
as
want me
soon
to
as
look through it?
Here,
Bring
find
up
the
commanders. I'll
fairy
find the
commander.
fairy.
Hey, there it is in the
Oh,
box.
or it was in a separate area.
In the box. All right, so let's bring him up. The commander's not the Wicked Wolf. That cannot be a brawl commander.
Nope.
How do I spell that? Alila.
Alayla?
Alila? I don't know. Gorgeous art though.
4-player chaos draft tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Wow, that's crazy.
And what is his name? What is
Ooh,
this?
Theros. Nice.
Cool. What's his name?
Korvold. Korvold.
There we go. Korvold, the Fey Cursed King. So if you ever read it, transformed at his own wedding.
wedding. He promptly ate the banquet, the gifts, and the guests.
So there you go.
Did he eat his wife?
I'm assuming she was a guest at the wedding.
She's not a guest. She's like the person of honor other than him.
You know, the mystery packs, I think it's
Money.
a thing. Maybe a money grab.
Is
I'm not going to say that out
Is that the
loud.
one with the bitter blossom?
I think so. Or no, aren't those the layers?
I don't know.
But
Mystery
again, there are
pack?
just so many different products they're putting out.
Yeah.
And I mean, if the market will bear it, sure. Go to town. If
Someone
it's
will
something
buy
you're
it.
interested in. If there's anything I'm super interested in, I'll just buy it after market. I'm not real big on buying the packaged thing when it comes out.
Yeah.
Well, except for these brawl decks, because it's the only place to get the cards, and it's fun to hand out to my friends at an event like this, right?
Yeah.
Bitter Blossom is Secret Lair. 3,
Oh, okay.
5, 6, 7.
The
You may
mystery
choose play or
packs
draw.
Or like chaos drafting. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know. Kitty.
I haven't
There's
done
a
it.
kitty on the table right behind my head.
Yes, there is. There's a kitty walking on your
There's
face.
a kitty walking around in the background.
And now all I can think of is the police song, Walking on the Cat. Yes,
Stray
I
cat
said that.
strut. I'm a stray cat. I'm a real
The mystery
cat.
packs are like chaos drafting. Okay.
DM,
Yes.
why is the cat sticky?
Not on the stream, baby, but crusty hairballs.
I don't know
Inside joke.
if the stream heard that. Okay, I don't
And
know.
you probably don't want to repeat it.
Yeah. But why is the cat sticky? Like, how much gelato did you eat? And did the cat get in it?
She's not sticky.
I'm gonna discard
Okay.
one, and I need a blue if you want to do that.
Oh, I haven't drawn yet. Okay.
I just need something, otherwise I'm not gonna be able to play this stupid deck.
Yeah.
See? Glad I did that, because I just would have been hosed the whole game.
Yay.
Like super
I'm
hosed.
I'm good, yeah. I'll play.
That was my first source of blue. 14 cards down.
Gruul Guild Gate, go.
Hold on. Alright. And of course, Watery Grave tapped, past turn.
Okay. Tap.
Well, hello, or what is it, Mixer viewer? No, our D-Live viewer. I love it when people watch us on D-Live. That's awesome.
A stomping ground. I'll pay the 2.
Really?
Well, let me see if I want to.
I should probably reset my
do
life.
that.
Let's use the black ones, they show up better.
Sure, I'll pay the 2.
Alright.
Should have played that first, but whatever.
This deck is slow.
Tap 2. They're all slow. They're both. I think they're both slow.
Yeah.
A golden egg.
You got your golden
Draw a
egg.
card.
Yep.
Pass turn.
Untap, upkeep, draw. Plain, pass turn.
Okay, untap. Draw.
It's kind of cool.
Temple of Malady comes in tapped. Scry. Sure, I'll keep that on top.
Done?
Yes.
Alright, untap, upkeep, draw. Oh, really? Play an island. 1, 2, 3.
So in Brawl we have Commander Death, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, well, yeah, I guess
Commander
we
Death
could.
token. How much is...
3 for a Mace of the Valiant.
How much is Commander Death?
I think it's
in
the same.
Brawl?
I think it's still 21.
20.
Anybody remember? I have the internet. I could probably look it up.
Could.
Commander Death, Brawl. While we're looking, I don't know. Let me finish my turn and then I'll look while Jay takes her turn. So I played a Mace of the Valiant. Let me bring that up because that's going to be a problem for you later.
Okay.
So that's that. It's a lovely Aaron Miller card. That painting sold for a bunch of money.
Oh,
and it's
really?
a great card anyway.
Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, put a charge counter. Alright.
So every time a creature comes in, it gets bigger.
Yeah. And that makes... your commander makes creatures.
My commander makes fairies when I play an artifact or enchantment.
Yeah. That's gonna be a problem.
It is going to be a problem. I will pass my turn.
Alright. Tap. Draw. Play a command tower.
Why don't I just look up commander brawl rules? There we go. All right. So, game 30 life. 2 players. We start at 25 life. By the way.
Oh.
Interesting.
Oh, 25?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I lost 2.
Commander start
so now
command zone.
23.
Last player standing wins. I don't see a death. No commander damage in brawl. Yep, that's what I'm thinking too. I don't see it here.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mana plus 2 more. Last player standing. Yeah, that's all I don't see it. Interesting.
Savvy Hunter.
Oh, God, I hate that Savvy Hunter.
Go.
Untap, upkeep, draw. I'm going to play my commander.
Okay.
Elida, the Artful Provocateur. Flying Death Touch Lifelink, the Death Touch Fairy Pie Fairy.
Yeah.
Other creatures I control with flying get blah blah, get +1/+0, and whenever I cast an artifact or enchantment, I get a fairy. So I'm going to put a little counter on this mace. I cast a creature. Pass turn. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield under my control, the mace gets bigger. Whether it's attached or not.
Alright.
And I will pass my turn to you. You are.
How big is Alela?
She is 2/3. Flying Death Touch Lifelink. Yeah.
Cryptic Caves.
Cryptic Caves? Is that the one you can sack for a card?
Yeah. Only if I control 5 or more lands. Can I do that?
There it is. Okay.
Alright.
Huh, interesting. I don't normally play with that. Oh, it is relatively new. Doop-a-doop-doop-doop. All we see is your cute little toes sticking up over there. It is cute.
Actually, wait. Hold on, let me not do that yet. Going to attack with my Savvy Hunter.
I'm gonna have to take 3.
I should get my food tokens out, because this deck doesn't have any.
Nope.
But yeah, these pre-con decks didn't come with food tokens. Lame.
I'm at 22.
Alright, so second main, I'm gonna take an action. Food. 2, 3. Plague Crafter. Each player sacks a creature or planeswalker.
Oh, suck. Okay.
Pass turn.
I'll play a Dimir Guildgate. And I will play a Smothering Tithe. Pass turn. After your untap phase,
Yeah.
take your draw, and would you like to pay 2, or can I get a treasure token?
Fine, get a treasure.
I have 1 treasure token. I'm telling you, man, Smothering Tide is broken as hell. Smothering Tide.
Yeah, it's
I
so
can't.
broken.
I can't imagine they'll reprint that.
Yeah.
It's broken so many formats.
Alright,
Well, multiplayer formats.
Forest.
Doop doop doop.
1, 2, 3. 4, 5.
Commander's in.
Kobold. So whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another
Permanent. Put a counter on him and draw a card.
Whenever I sack a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on him and draw a card.
And
I
I'm
will-
assuming you don't have 2 to pay, so I'm going to get another treasure when you draw that card off Corvold.
Yeah.
Alright, 2 treasures.
Let's see, do I want to...
Oh, that's going to be awful.
Do I want to sack my egg or sack my food? I guess I will sack a food. And I draw a card. He gets a counter. So he's a 5/5.
Yup.
And what do you have on the? You don't have anything. 3/2.
You just played him this
Checking.
turn. Oh, you played him
No,
last turn,
last
made me
turn.
sack. I take 3 and go to 19.
Go.
Alright. On top, upkeep, draw. Doop 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 doop. Let's see. I'm gonna tap 4 and those 2 for Alida. Mace goes to 2. I will play a Azorius Guildgate tapped, and I will pass my turn.
Okay.
Alright.
So I draw. Then there's the Smothering Tithe trigger.
Are you paying 2?
No.
Treasure.
Okay. Let's see. What can I do to get rid of that thing? Gotta get rid
Kill
of
an
that
artifact or enchantment.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I played that deck against my buddies the other day, and that Smothering Tide lasted the whole game because nobody could draw anything to kill it.
Yeah, well, guess what? It's gonna change.
It's gonna die right now.
It's gonna die right now.
Alright.
Alright, so... Sorry, I just need to know what I need for that. And then... Okay. That'll be... fine. So we need to write colors. Okay. That's good. Alright,
So.
so 1, 2, and 3... Make sure it's right. Yep, that's right colors.
What
3
you doing?
for a Thrashing Brontodon.
Yep.
And I'm gonna sack it right away.
You got it.
Actually, with the Cryptic Caves, not with that. So destroy Smothering Tithe.
Whenever you sack,
Mm-hmm.
so that goes on the stack. Are you
Yeah.
paying 2 before it dies? Because whenever something dies, you get a token and draw a card. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent.
I will pay 2.
Okay.
So you don't get another trigger.
You got it. Dead. And that gets another and you draw a card.
This gets another.
Jesus, that thing's awful.
I draw a card, but when... Okay. So, whenever I sack a permanent... Okay.
And draw a card.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and now if you attack, you draw another card and sack another permanent.
That's... Yeah. I draw a card. Okay. And then I'm going to...
So they are still having dinner with familial things. I haven't heard anything, so as far as I know, the rest of the folks are still coming, but...
Alright, so I'm gonna attack, so this, I'll sack the egg.
Okay, you sack the egg.
And actually...
My commander's Death Touch.
Yeah, I won't attack with the... Oh, I guess I'll attack with both.
I mean, I'll kill your commander with the Death Touch.
Fine.
Okay.
So...
You're welcome to come on down if you want.
Did I already
come and
draw
stream
the-
with us.
Did I already draw the card?
Who are you talking to?
Solid Plasma.
Alright, so I drew a card from Bronodon sack. So then, because I have to sack another permanent, this gets another counter.
Right, and you already drew that
And
card.
But I draw another card.
You sacked the egg when he attacked.
Right, but so I drew a card from the Bronodon.
Oh, you didn't draw a card from the egg.
I need to draw a card from the
You got
egg
it.
now.
Alright.
Okay. So a 3/2 and a 7/7
Sure.
flyer that you'll kill.
I'll
with
take the 3,
Alera.
and, yeah, and I'll gain 2 life.
Okay.
Back to 20.
you
Actually,
take 3.
net loss of 1, so 18.
Yeah, you took 3?
Yeah, it's a net loss of 1, because I blocked the flyer,
Okay.
gained 2 life, and then lost 3 to the other one.
Okay.
Done?
Yep. And we have to add 2 every time we recast that, right?
Yep. Alright, so there's a land. 1,
Did I
2.
draw?
Alright. Solid Plasma will be coming to stream with us in a little bit.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana I've got, right? Screw it. I will hardcast Saphira Sky's Blade.
What is that? What happens when you hardcast it?
Nothing, but I just don't have anything extra, so how do I play it? Saphara.
How do you play it?
How do I say it?
Spell it.
Unspell it, yes. Use my words, you bastard, right?
Yep.
Alright, so she is a 7/7 flying lifelink angel. Other
Yep.
creatures I control with flying have indestructible, and
great.
there are now 3 counters on the mace.
But
Pass
she's
turn.
not indestructible.
She is not indestructible.
Alright. Well, this sucks. Swamp.
I mean, you're 23 and I'm an 18, so I'm not feeling too bad for you.
Yeah, but you have a 7/7 flyer that I can't block.
Oh, actually, I still have my treasure. She's only 7, not 8. Cool. That's a gorgeous piece of art. Huh.
I have to do that.
Alright, so let's take a look at board states.
Alright.
Or let Jayberry take her turn.
3, 4, 5, 6. I could cast Corgold again.
7, 8. Yep, you got 8.
No, yeah.
Or how big?
Alright.
Corval is 4, 5 or 6.
5.
So 7 this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I want to do that or let me see.
I mean, either kill Saphara or play blocker. So I don't know. Has anyone out there made any interesting brawl decks yet? It's not a format I've really been paying attention to, other than buying the pre-con brawls.
Yeah, I guess I'll.
So, yeah.
I guess I'll do Corvold again. 2,
Alright.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
When it enters, sack a creature, draw a card, or sack a permanent. You could sack a land.
No.
Yep. Draw a card, put a counter.
Don't think I played a land this turn.
Off you go.
Sure.
Yeah, you went first, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you should have 8. None of us have missed a land drop yet.
6, 7, 8, 9. So maybe I did. I don't remember. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, so then this gets cast Corvold once. This gets a counter.
Nice.
And pass Wait.
What did you? And you sacked the Playcrafter to Corval.
Yeah, and I have
Gotcha.
2 left over. Can I do anything with it? Nope. Go.
All right. 3 mana untapped over there, huh?
2.
2. All right. Draw. Well, that's a thing. This is gonna be awful.
Okay.
All right. Angelic Exaltation. Whenever a creature I control attacks alone. Wait, hold on. 4. Fuck it.
And a Layla.
Oh, yeah. Fuck it. And Safara.
7.
7. Flying Lifelink. Yay!
So,
Hey, back to 25. Awesome. Huzzah! Back to 25.
yeah, I'm gonna die to that. I'm gonna lose.
Well, you were oppressing the shit out of me in the beginning of the game. You just, I couldn't keep a creature on the table.
Yeah, my turn?
Yeah.
I guess.
I
No whine about it. No, I'm kidding.
So that Smothering Tide
Yeah.
would have made me fairies every time I got a
Yeah,
treasure token.
No.
I know. It was just awful.
Bad. Just bad. Do I want to do that?
Well, that Seb McKinnon mat still looks gorgeous over there.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Although I have realized, since we can actually read the cards a lot better now, it might be better to switch back to more darker mats so that people can actually... Because I think it's kind of hard to read
because it's too busy.
on the colorful ones, yeah.
Yeah. They're too
Since
busy.
we've got better cams.
Yeah.
Mo better.
Uh,
I have an awful, awful hand, and I'm so sorry for Jayberry.
yeah, I think I'm gonna lose this game. I just don't think I can.
I functionally have 3 Oblivion Rings in my hand.
Great.
Functionally, like, alrighty then.
Great. Maybe I'll do that.
Alrighty
I need
then.
something on the battlefield to do that.
Is that a Val or a Solid Plasma?